Being a new writer can feel a bit like you're walking out into a blizzard without a coat. You might get lost, panic, and worry that you'll never find your way out on the other side. I know it can be scary, and I was there once too, so I'm laying out the 10 things that I wish I had known when I was a newbie writer. Hey y'all, and welcome to my vlog. My name is Erin, and today I am here to ease your worries and give you some advice that I wish I had known when I was a newbie. I'm 3 novels into my career, and I'm starting to feel like I have a pretty decent handle on things. So I'm going to lay out my top 10 things that I wish I had known when I was starting out. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you always know when a new video is uploaded. Number 1, it's okay for your first book to take a long time. There are hundreds of things that you learn with a first book. You're figuring out story crafting on a larger scale. You're building worlds and characters and plots. You're probably experiencing self-edits, beta readers, and critique partners for the first time, not to mention everything else that goes along with the publishing journey. Writing and navigating the publishing process is a skill like any other. If you wouldn't expect yourself to sit down at a block of marble and carve a masterpiece on your first go, don't be expecting the same to happen with writing a book. Respect that there is a very steep learning curve and give yourself time to adjust. If you're intending to do writing as a career, then look at it the way you would look at other careers. You go through training and education, and you have to work at it a little while before you start to feel comfortable. Eventually, you'll be able to do the job with your eyes closed, but it's not reasonable to expect that when you're just starting out. Take the time that you need to establish a strong foundation. Number 2, you can't make a first draft perfect. I always love the analogy that a book from start to finish is a cake. Your first draft is just your assembled ingredients. They may not seem like they go together, you haven't measured anything out yet, and you haven't mixed them together in any kind of meaningful way. That's okay. You can't move on to your next step if you don't have your ingredients. So many newbies get hung up on trying to make the first draft perfect, but my dears, you cannot decorate a bowl of flour and serve it up as a cake no matter how much you might want to. Accept that your first draft is simply a base to build off of, and that there are going to be many more steps in this process that will turn it from that pile of ingredients into a beautifully decorated cake that you are proud to serve up to the world. Number 3, it's okay to feel like you know nothing. In all fairness, you probably don't know very much. Remember that steep learning curve I mentioned? You're going to be climbing that for a ton of different aspects in the publishing process. You don't know what you don't know, and you can't know what you need to know until you encounter it. If you've never worked with beta readers before or implemented feedback, why would you expect yourself to know the ins and outs of it right away? It's totally normal to encounter something new and feel like you don't know or you don't understand. Because you don't. You've never had to know it before, and you're at the beginning of a learning process. It's daunting as a newbie, but you'll get there. And eventually you'll feel more comfortable with your knowledge base. Number 4, you will never have all of the answers. I know I just said that you'll feel more confident as you go, and you will, but you will never know everything that there is to know about this entire process. The industry changes, you might switch genres, you might have to work with different professionals each time, you might have to adjust your processes, and there will be a period of adjustment each time this happens. Always be wary of anyone who says that they know everything. It might seem scary to have this never reachable concept of knowing everything, but I promise that you'll get by just fine. And for what you don't know or don't have the skills for, there will be other people out there who will be able to help. Number 5, you need a community. A writing community is one of the single greatest tools an author can have. Befriending and working alongside other writers not only gives you access to people who understand and are going through the same things you are, but you can also talk about all of these things in general without worrying about anyone's eyes glazing over. You'll open yourself up to people in all stages of the writing journey, which means there's going to be an absolute wealth of knowledge for you to tap. Have questions about working with ARC reviewers? Someone in your community can probably help with that. Need beta readers or a critique partner? Your community can probably help with that too. The same goes for things like recommendations for artists and editors. Obviously, if you're in a community of all other newbies, then that wealth of knowledge is going to be a little bit more limited, but you're still probably all going to be studiously researching things and at the very least can provide resources to one another. At every stage, good and bad, from the high of holding your first proof copy to the terror of sharing your work for the first time, your community is going to be there to help and celebrate those milestones. This career is not an easy one, and so it's so helpful to have some knowledgeable and understanding cheerleaders in your corner. Number 6, you can be afraid to share your work, but you have to share it anyways. Sharing your work can be terrifying, and the more you do it, the easier it will become, but that's not to say that that edge of panic ever truly goes away. You're handing over a piece of your soul to people and asking if it resonates with them. Sharing is how we get feedback and how we learn our strengths and weaknesses within the craft. It is how you make your story better. Your story needs others in order to become what it was meant to be. And while it might be tempting to skip beta readers and editors to save yourself that stress, you're only doing yourself a disservice. Feedback at the start is more likely to be critical because the story is rougher, and I know that might be discouraging, but it will get better. You're going to polish the story, and there's going to be less things for people to point out. Look back to the cake analogy. When your beta readers are getting your book, maybe you pulled that cake out of the oven too early and the middle is saggy and the edges are burnt. You need to know those things so that you can make the changes you need to. You'll tidy up the recipe, serve it to new betas, and it's going to be a lot more evenly baked. But at that point, it still needs to be assembled and decorated, which is where all the rest of your polishing steps come in. Every phase is helping you polish, and it is not a personal failing to receive critical feedback on your work. It's just a requirement to make improvements. Number 7, take notes on everything. Like I've said, there's a lot to learn and understand with these processes. Make notes. Keep track of beta readers that were helpful and you would like to work with again. Take note if someone in your community has a professional issue with someone so that you don't end up booking them too. Bookmark artists and designers that embody the style you want for your future cover. Note which ARC reviewers respond positively to your pitch and enjoy your work. All of these things will smooth the process as you get into the later stages and/or move on to your next books. You won't remember everything, so be sure to write it down somewhere. Number 8, your family probably won't read your work. Are you petrified of writing a sex scene because your mom might read it? She's probably not going to. Are you writing some questionable topics that'll get grandma to side-eye you? She's probably not going to read it either. I've discovered talking to a lot of writers that having family actually interested in your work is an absolute minority. It's not that the family is necessarily unsupportive. Sometimes they may buy your book, but they still may not read it. Maybe it's not a style that suits them, or it's not in a format that they're able to read. For example, one of my aunts only listens to audiobooks, and because I have yet to be able to turn any of my books into an audiobook, she's never read them. Your family probably also doesn't understand anything about the book creation process, nor are they probably interested in learning. You might get that dreaded question of, so, is your book done yet? And then you have to try to explain that, yes, my first draft is done, but it's with beta readers, and then I have to do revisions and another round of beta readers before it goes to the editor, and XYZ still needs to happen. You just watch their eyes glaze over. I think of it like this. If I had a cousin in programming and I went and asked them how their job was going and they started telling me about a project in minute detail, the programming languages they're using, the uses of the project, what their client is complaining about, I wouldn't care either. And that's okay. People just need to accept that you're doing the thing. It's nice if they're supportive, if they appreciate that you are doing a job that you like, but they don't have to be interested in the details. Number 9, your first book release is likely to be a little bit anticlimactic. Obviously, it will be exciting and stressful and this brand new amazing experience. But the odds of it drastically changing your life are pretty slim. If you're anticipating tons of money rolling in, showing up in the newspaper, and everyone you know excitedly talking about your book, it's not very likely to happen. It does for some, but that number is small, and most likely your life is going to continue on pretty much exactly as it has been, except that now you're a published author. Number 10, luck is a bigger factor than you would like. It's possible to do everything right and still lose. It's also possible to hit the right moment, the right sequence of events, and be rocketed to the stars. In much the same way as having a tweet or a video go viral, there's often not a lot for you to control in how that plays out. Is the algorithm on your side or reducing your reach? Did the right person see and share your work? Was your story published at the exact right time to resonate with something going on in the world? Did you have a huge budget to market the heck out of your story? Did you go traditional and your publisher decided that you're the next big thing? There are a lot of factors that go into success and failure. Lots of people hustle and put in the work. They have great content and they're consistent. They do their research and they do everything they're supposed to, but luck still has to be on their side. If nothing else, I wish for a little bit of luck for everyone watching. Your hard work deserves to be rewarded, and I really hope it is. A writing career is not for the faint of heart. It's hard work and there are no guarantees. But it's also wonderful and rewarding, and the communities you build are worth it. Nothing worth having has ever been easy, and that is a mantra you need to start repeating if you are taking on this career. You're not alone out there, however much it might seem like that sometimes. Consider me your writing big sister. If you're just getting started, you have me at your back. Let me know if you have any questions and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video and that it was helpful. Check out my books if you like fantasy or romance. You can read the first 3 chapters for free on my website. All my social media links will be in the description below. Subscribe and ring the bell, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!